Football's not hard. It's just explained in the most confusing way possible. And you don't really need to know more about football terms for you to really understand what's happening. You just need to know a few key things. And if you just keep pretending you get it when you don't, you're never going to be a part of the fun because understanding and really get what's going on is what makes anything fun in life. So let's have some fun, okay? I mean, I know when you're first learning, a lot of people will use key terms like, 3rd and 7, or they're in a certain formation, or this looks like a certain play that's about to happen. And you're probably thinking, I I understand zero of that. And that's just the worst feeling. At least I think. I don't like it when people talk around me and I don't know what the heck they're talking about because it feels like a foreign language. But 99% of fans, they don't need to know more football terms. They just need the basics explained in the right order. So, let's do a little reset, like the fastest reset ever. Here's the basics of football. You get 4 chances to move the ball 10 yards. And if you get those 10 yards, you get to keep going. If you don't, the other team gets the ball. And that's football. That's the nitty gritty, super short, explained. And obviously there's more complexity to it, but that part probably hasn't been explained to you first because everybody just goes into positions and penalties and all of that stuff, and it gets I don't know, it's just confusing when you don't have the foundation. So today we're going to talk about those basics, the things that most new fans, they don't fully understand because I don't know, nobody's ever told them. It's not that they're not smart. They just have never said, hey, let's start at the foundation. You don't just start reading giant novels without understanding letters first. We don't learn how to read before understanding the alphabet, right? And that's what I think happens is that a lot of people who already know football, they just start with these concepts that are beyond the basic understanding. They're talking about penalties and player positions and all these packages, the things that I just talked about. But if you're new, what you really need is the foundation. What are they trying to do here? Why does everyone care about these 10 yards? And why is everybody crazy on third down? Why does the stadium get so loud? It's actually really fun. But if you don't get it, you don't get it. Or why is the team going to kick instead of playing? Why do they punt? I don't know, why does one mistake seem so big on one drive and not a big deal on another one? And that's what we're going to really talk about today and try to make things really clear because here's the thing. When you don't understand the basics, football just feels like noise, really, really loud noise, noise with a lot of chips and dip, which is fun. I love my chili cook-offs when we're watching a football game. It's fantastic. But wouldn't it be more fun if you understood what the heck was going on? I know I like knowing what's going on because when everyone around you seems to know what's going on, you start to feel like you're the problem. How is it that I don't know? Why am I not smart enough? And that's not a word that we say around here because you are smart enough. Nobody has taught it to you right. So it's like dropping you in the middle of anything in life and expecting you to just know what the heck is going on. I mean, think of a movie. Okay, if you started a movie in the middle of the plot and you didn't know any of the characters, you didn't know who's trying to do what, you don't even know who the bad guy is. It's going to take you a while to figure it out, and you might never figure it out. And then at the end, you don't even know if the guy who died was the bad guy or the good guy. Are we crying or are we happy? And that's football. So if you just start in the middle of the game and you don't even know what the strategy is, that's not fun. I don't want to be in the middle of a plot and not know who I'm supposed to cheer for. So our family has these insane football parties, my East Coast family. And my aunt makes an incredible Cincinnati chili for everybody, and it has a little chocolate in it. So that's the secret ingredient. Don't tell her I told you or she'll get mad, but it's so good. And everyone comes. I don't know if they're coming for the chili or the game, but they all come. And there's always a mixture of people. You have men, women, people who get football, don't get football. And I remember like one time there was this girl who came over and she's, like kind of lost, but she's enjoying it because it's fun and everybody's festive. And let's be honest, we were having a few cocktails. But then, like, the announcer says, okay, it's third and long, which I think it was like 3rd and 8. And everybody gets like super tense and they're like, we really need this one. And she's like, why? Like, can somebody please help me understand why this even matters? I said to her, like, they need 8 yards right now, or they're probably going to have to give the ball away. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Like, this is kind of their last chance, or else they have to give the ball to the other team. And I was like, exactly. That's why everybody's freaking out right now. So the play starts and the team doesn't get it. So it's like, 4th and short. And she's like, oh, so they didn't get enough. She could see that they didn't get the 8 yards. And everybody's like, yeah, exactly. Like, that wasn't so hard. But come on. If you don't get it explained, how are you supposed to know? I mean, she doesn't know every detail. She doesn't know like every position or like the entire game and all the system, but at least she understood the strategy of the moment. And that's when football could start to become fun. Like, she could actually get invested in it. Now, I know you might be thinking, cool, Amanda, I know what 3rd and 8 is, but there's so many rules. And yeah, there are. There's a lot of darn rules in football, but you don't need to know all of those. Not at first, not in the beginning, and really ever. But what you do need are a few kind of like anchor points. I mean, it's almost like when you go into a new city for the first time and you don't know every street name, right? But you probably do know a few of the main highways or a few of the major streets. And you can say to yourself, okay, I know where I need to go. And I know if I get to that street, if you're a guy, you probably know the street name. If you're a girl, you probably know I need to get to that restaurant or that Circle K. And then I take a right and I'm on my way to my destination. Of course, I'm using an analogy that doesn't even apply to today because we all have GPS on our phones. But let's pretend it was the good old days when you just had paper maps and you felt disoriented until you figured out where you were going and you knew some of the major crossroads. That's my analogy today. So you're saying, okay, where am I? Where do I need to go? Where do I need to go? And like, what's going to get me closer? And if I go too far, like, what's going to get me in trouble? And that's what football is. Where am I going? How do I get there? What's going to get me in trouble or turn the ball over? And the rest, it's just extra information. Okay, so let's break this down into kind of some core points that will make this all come together. So the first point is that the game of football is just about getting a new set of chances. What I said in the beginning of this video. It's not about scoring on every play because, like I said, every time the offense gets the ball, they get 4 chances to move the ball 10 yards. And if they don't, they have to give the ball away. But if they do, they get a new set of 4 downs. So let's go ahead and give you an example. Okay. So it's 1st and 10. The offense has the ball and they run their first play. And let's just say they get 2 yards. So 10 minus 2 is 8. So now it is second try, second chance, second down, and 8. Now let's just say they run a running play and they get 3 more yards. So now they've just gone 2 yards, 3 yards. That's 5 yards total. And it's 3rd down, 5 yards to go. Now they need these 5 yards in order to get a new set of downs, a new set of 4 downs. So if they get the 5 yards, they get a first down, a new set of 4 tries. But if they don't, let's just say they run a play and it doesn't work and they get stopped short, then it's 4th down. And this is where coaching comes in, strategy comes in, play clock comes in, where they are on the field comes in. And if they are not in a position to kick a field goal and get 3 points, then they have to decide, am I going to try one more time and get that first down? That's called going for it on fourth. Or are they going to punt it away and the defense takes over and becomes on offense? Now, the reason that they would do that is if they're in a position on the field where if the defense takes over, they're really close to the end zone, right behind the offense. Well, obviously, you don't want to give the defense the ball right there. You want to make them start from further down the field. Okay, point number 2 is that scoring is actually fairly simple when it comes to football. I get that the path to get to the scoring is maybe not quite so simple, but we can break it down very simply. So, a touchdown is worth 6 points. A field goal is worth 3 points. A safety is worth 2 points. And after a touchdown, the offense has a choice. They can either just go for the 1 point, which is kicking the ball through the uprights, the goalposts. I look ridiculous. The goalposts and get 1 point, or they can actually try to run or throw it in, basically do one more play, and that's called a 2-point conversion. So they get 2 extra points. So if one of those are successful, it's the 6-point touchdown plus the kick, which is 1. That's your 7 points. Or it's the 6 points plus the 2-point conversion, and they get 8 points. A lot of times, that's just a math decision depending on what the score is. How many points do they need to either tie the game or take the lead? And a lot of times teams won't really get creative on that until fourth quarter because earlier in the game, they just want the points. So now that you know what each thing is worth in terms of the points, let's talk about how you get there. So a touchdown happens when a player goes across the goal line. That can happen with a pass. So there's a player in the end zone who catches the ball, or they can actually run it in. As long as they get it across the line, they get their 6 points. A field goal is when you're on that fourth down, but you are close enough to your own end zone that your kicker has the strength to get that ball through the goalpost. So it's usually, I don't know, it's probably around like the 30-ish yard line, because by the time they back it up where they have to hold the ball and kick it through, it's like another 17 yards or something. That's a long field goal. That's like 47 yards. Although nowadays these kickers are crazy. I don't know what they're eating. A lot of Wheaties apparently, because they can kick the ball so far. And I love that there's some like amazing soccer players too that end up kicking for college teams. I think that's awesome. Now, deciding which one of these ways to score is completely dependent on where we are in the game and what the score is, like I said. So if somebody says, oh, we really need a touchdown here, it's probably because they need the 7 points as opposed to the 3 points that a field goal is. So it's kind of funny because sometimes a field goal can feel like huge victory because they only needed the 3 points, or they were tied and 3 points put them above. But if they're down by 7 and they get the field goal, then you'll hear announcers say like, oh, they had to settle for a field goal there. So, or it's early in the game and it's 0-0 and they say, oh, they had to settle for a field goal, which it's still points. Awesome. But it's just not the 7 points, which would have been way better. Obviously, we can all do math. So point number 3 is that when the ball changes teams, right? It goes from offense to defense. That's the emotional craziness and heartbeat of football. And there's a bunch of different swings. So we already talked about when the offense gets to their fourth down and they have to turn it over to the defense, whether they don't get it because they tried and it's turnover on downs. In other words, they went for it on fourth down and it didn't work out, or they punt it away. It's like the offense had that momentum, and then it's like, oh, you thought you had a chance to score and do something great, but you just didn't quite make it. It's kind of like, I don't know, you're standing in line at the coffee shop and you get to the front and they're like, oh, we're fresh out of whatever your favorite drink is. And you're like, come on, man. I just waited this whole time and I thought something great was going to happen, going to have my favorite drink, and it didn't happen. So that's what turnover on downs or punting it away really feels like if you are the offense. Now, 2 huge momentum shifts are when the offense either has a fumble or an interception. Now, a fumble happens when the ball carrier, sometimes that's the quarterback, a lot of times it's a running back or even a receiver that keeps on running, the ball comes out of their arms. That happens when the defender comes in here and strips it out, or they accidentally drop it. That's a big bummer. But that's a huge momentum shift if the defense jumps on that ball and all of a sudden they get the ball back. You'll feel it in the crowd for sure. And you'll also feel it during an interception. That's when the quarterback throws the ball, the defense comes in, grabs the ball, and that's an interception. Two huge, huge, huge momentum shifts. So next time that you're watching a game, you don't need to try to understand everything, right? Just watch a few things like the down and distance. You can look at the screen on that little score bug and it'll say 3rd and 6 or 2nd and 2. And you now know what that means. So you can say, what chance are they on and how far do they need to go? And the second, you can just notice where they are on the field. Like, how big of a deal is it if they don't make it on that 3rd down? Will they have an opportunity for a field goal or will they need to punt it away? And that all depends on that field position. So pay attention to that. And lastly, just pay attention to who has the ball more often, because that will kind of tell you who's controlling the game. Sometimes announcers will make a big deal if, like, oh, the team had 10 minutes of this quarter out of the 15 minutes. They held the possession of the ball. That's a big deal when one team has possession of the ball that long. That means they're kind of controlling the game. So, yeah, like 99% of fans don't know the basics of the game. And it's not because they can't learn them. It's because football's usually explained backwards. They start with like crazy technical things instead of just giving you context, giving you the foundation and sort of like giving you all these rules before you even understand the core of what football is. So just remember, 4 chances to move the ball 10 yards. The first down keeps the drive alive. Yay! Touchdowns are 6 points. Field goals are 3 points. And possession, it changes everything. If you have the ball, you have control. So I hope this made football feel just a little bit more approachable. I want you to watch all the videos. So check out the next one, and I can feel you getting sharper already.